What's up, Twitch and YouTube? It's MurphyD55 coming to you with another episode of Around the Gjallarhorn. And today we begged a celebrity guest, actually, and a good friend of mine from the Twitch community. We got my guy Fendler in the building, Madden guy turned variety streamer fairly recently. And we're going to talk about that on the podcast too. But Fend, appreciate you taking the time during the holidays to sit down for a while and answer some questions and just have a good old-fashioned conversation. Appreciate you coming through,
man, Murphy D, the OG, it's a pleasure and an honor. So it's funny how things come full circle. And it's like, where do you start with, you and I really go back truly to the beginning of this whole thing. And it's been so cool. And I know, there's stories that have been told before. I'm sure they are stories that'll be told again. But, seeing the group of us that, and where we wound up, the journey that everyone's been through individually has been super dope. But I mean, as soon as we could connect on Around the Gjallarhorn, you knew for a fact I was going to be in on that. And I'm glad that you had me, bro. I'm glad that we got so many good people in the channel. Truly a pleasure and an honor.
I appreciate that, Fend. And honestly, your podcast series that you did, going back to this past summer, and you were really on a tear doing them every single day, 7 days a week for a while there. And then that's kind of one of the inspirations. When I saw that content that you were creating, which was kind of out of your normal comfort zone of, just streaming Madden and running the football, I was like, this is like inspiring stuff, because the longer you stay on Twitch, the more you want to kind of branch out and do different things, because it gets stale, just staying in the same little box, and not to say that it didn't serve its purpose for you and for myself as well, but you got to find ways to keep it fresh if you're going to have be in it for the long haul. But what a crazy, like you said, we started out probably a crazy adventure, and it started out in the PS Messages app, which I didn't even know about until I kind of met you and the other guys. Just started out scheduling little CFM games and on console for both of us, and now you're a partnered Twitch streamer with a crazy setup. You're in a new place now. You got it going on right now. You got to feel pretty good about that.
Oh man, and it feels great, and I love sharing in everyone else's success too. Within that very same PSN chat. I mean, it was you and I and Adam and Luch and Goat wound up in there too. And it's just fast forward whatever it's been, 18 months. I think my longest badge is in the channel. Actually, we had a 20. That was me. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, crazy. Okay, so we know exactly how long this whole thing has been going on, and just to fast forward, to what it became, and it makes you smile. It's everything happened just as it was supposed to, and I think everyone, in just the same way, and makes me so happy to hear that the Fen Talks were a source of inspiration to you, because I mean you and our friends have been sources of inspiration to me the very same way. You know what I'm saying? It's it's been dope. I'm glad to see where everyone's at.
Absolutely. And kind of switch gears to where you started out, and it was kind of, firing up the streams just kind of out of an interest or a curiosity with Twitch, just finding out about Twitch. I feel like 20 months ago is probably when you got into it in the first place. I wasn't big into Twitch personally, more until COVID started. I didn't know what it was or have any interest in watching people play video games or whatever. But, to now where it's your primary source of income and, paying for the roof that's over your head, that's a huge thing. That's got to be a scary thing at times too.
Terrifying. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. But it was it's been a perfect storm right from the jump. You know what I mean? And I know, like I said, all these guys, you and I, and everyone that we come up with has their own version of this story, and how kind of the circumstances had to be perfect for us to wind up like you're saying, why the heck are we booting up a stream in the first place? We all have a little bit extra time due to COVID. You meet just the right people, and it just had to be just so for things to turn out how they did. And yeah, man, it's still a whirlwind. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's been 20 months, right? It feels like it's been, significantly shorter than that. When you look at it on paper, I suppose we're, creeping up on the second year mark, which is nuts. Yeah. But, it's a constant process. It's a constant, reevaluation and process of reevaluation. I think is probably the best word, because it goes on, every single day. You're making these micro adjustments and taking in inspirations and, seeing what different type of directions you can take. And and it's a lot, but it's also been a lot of fun, and you meet a lot of great people, which is
Yeah,
huge.
absolutely, and it's kind of like right now you're in the streamer fan chapter of your life, but there's been other chapters along the way. It's sometimes it's hard to remember what it was like before Twitch. Like even though it doesn't seem like sometimes it feels like wow, I can't believe I've been doing it for this long. But at the same time,
Mhm.
for me at least, I can't think to a time where I wasn't looking forward to booting up a stream or like collaborating with somebody or like doing way too much video gaming. Like honestly, I didn't even play video games in college. Like I didn't have time. I was too busy like out doing my thing, partying. You were an athlete during college, so you had a big time commitment there from that perspective.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
maybe we can and I know a lot of your story has been told. You've done a podcast with Retro Nate before, which was awesome. You've kind of done the long form interviews with a few people now at this point.
Oh, they're great, man. I love them.
Yeah, but I wanted to kind of talk about starting off with your roots. Like, have you always been a Jersey guy, born and raised, and still living in Jersey now?
Born and raised, bro. Yeah, still living in Jersey. I spent most of my time on the East Coast. I went to U Albany, so I stayed relatively local. It was just like 2 hours straight north of me. But yeah, man, I've gotten to taste and experience a little bit of a bunch of different parts of life, right? As
Yeah.
we all do. Like you experience the strife and the hardships, and go through some of that. I didn't have like the easiest childhood, and as so many kids are, household of divorce, and like you have other stuff going on around that time. But for me, looking back on it, it's all's well that ends well. I hope at least that most can feel the same about their experiences
Yeah.
that run in the same vein, that it equips you better going forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you look back on your origin story and feel how you want about it. I think I'm lucky for mine in the way that, it gives me strength. And like you said, we've been over it a couple times before, and also nobody, wants to hear somebody hop up on
Yeah.
their soapbox and give some type of sob story, because we all have, one of the things that I'm realizing more and more, as I mature, is that we really do all have stuff. And one of the best things that we can do as people is to share in our stuff together, because,
Yeah.
I feel it more as time goes by. Like we're such by nature social creatures, and we can make things easier for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting a little
For sure.
tangential, but
No, that's what I wanted.
still,
That's exactly what the goal was. Give you
the
a
point,
platform to
right?
say
That's what
whatever
we're
the
here
heck you
for.
want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Sit
Yeah,
down
well,
with the boys and kick it a little bit.
yeah.
So yeah, man, like certainly maybe like a little bit sketchy, I suppose, of a childhood growing up in Sparta, New Jersey. Got to live
Yeah.
close to a spot called Lake Mohawk, which is a very beautiful place. Stayed, relatively local, moved around a little bit. My father kind of moved into and then wound up inheriting my grandparents' house in a spot called Parsippany. That's
Yeah.
where I got to do all. That's where I went to high school, and all my my football career started up. And then we shipped it off to U Albany. I got the chance to, and to be fair, U Albany was probably one of the only
Yeah.
one or two Division I schools that was recruiting me. I was 6'2" at the time. I was reporting 295. I
Yeah.
felt like that was. I felt like it's kind of like how people describe their height, right, Murphy D, when you're
Yeah.
talking about like your dimensions in recruiting.
Yeah.
Like 300 might mean you're like kind of like a sloppy 310. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If you're
Yeah.
writing 300. 295, I felt like indicated a little more the potential for athleticism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a deliberate 295. It's not just a
Exactly.
sloppy.
Like
You just
knew
it
that
just
was
happened.
specific.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. This was very deliberate, right? I'm
Yeah.
not rounding. I'm not doing any rounding, specifically 295. So I was reporting,
Yeah.
I think, as I was recruiting, 6'2", 295. The recruiting process was sick. Like I feel grateful that I got to experience that. It's was certainly an ego boost, maybe that you didn't need as a 16, 17-year-old. Shipped it up to U Albany. Got to play a couple years of football. My body just straight up didn't hold up as well as I hoped it would. Right, my freshman year in summer camp, I tore my ACL in my right leg. It was tough. I rehabbed it all year. Came back at it sophomore year. Now it's back in summer camp. I'm running with the twos. Like I'm starting to get a little bit of reps. Like I'm as strong as I'd ever been in my upper body. I'm benching 375 for reps, and it was great. Have a second degree tear of my hamstring in the same leg as a sophomore. So I'm like, mother, father.
Oh my God.
Kind of had to, and that I remember that as a very pivotal moment, I suppose, in the longer term of my story, right? Because up until that point, I had been defining myself based on, and it's interesting, I'm now in my adult life at another spot that I need to kind of reinvent and reinvigorate. But I had been defining myself as a football player for so long that realizing that part of my life was probably done here, for better or worse. Like for better or worse, my body just was not cut out for collision at this level. My connective tissue just couldn't hold up, and I had a great run. And exactly, it was out of my control. It is what it is, but it doesn't make it less sad. You know what I mean? So I remember that, and I miss football even to this day. But then, as after that sophomore injury, talk to the coaches, talk to my teammates, and kept it real with them, and said exactly what it was like. But I came to UAlbany to be a part of the football program. So if I can be folded in somewhere, I want to be around. So they love that, and I had the respect of all the guys just based on how I did it, and got a chance on the coaching staff. I got to travel around with the team. We did video management for them. So another one of those things, like kind of to our earlier point, it's like everything had to go just so, you know what I mean, with the timing and even the injuries and the shit and the stuff that sucked, and the stuff that I really did not want to go through. They were all necessary parts of everything that happened afterwards. And to this point, with few, albeit notable exceptions, everything has gone like really well, and you kind of just have to trust the flow in that way. So finished got my bachelor's at UAlbany and majored in philosophy. I don't know if that
makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Like you're a very opinionated and very well spoken person, and that's probably the ultimate degree for people who are well spoken is philosophy. You don't talk yourself into corners too often. Yeah.
No, I try not to. And philosophy literally just is artful argument, and how to win more than you lose when it comes to linguistics and vocabulary, I suppose. But yeah, man, I loved it. I say frequently, it was teaching me ways to think about things rather than the things to be thinking about. I think is the most specific way that I can put it. And that really appealed to me because it felt like it was giving me tools rather than, factoids that I could just Google later on if I needed to. So that was always a big appeal to me. And it was challenging, man. It was some of this stuff, I had an entire semester length course dedicated to the first part of a 4-part Heidegger. I don't even know if you could call it an essay, a book, a thing. It was terrible, and dense, and a challenge. And I do, I've always loved the challenge, and it was exactly that. Loved my degree, hopped out of there, had a brief career in my first job out of college was car sales. Murphy D.
A second that's right.
fact about me that you might not be super surprised at.
And that helped you negotiate your current ride that you have too. Your skills that you picked up as a negotiator there. That's you sitting in a caddy right now. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. That's funny that you remember the story. I learned enough things, and that's funny. The short story of so I drive. It's a beautiful truck. I get heat for this on my channel. I call it a truck. They're like, it's not a truck. It's not a car. Well, yeah, it's an SUV. I'm like, I'm not giving you free syllables. You know what I'm saying? SUV. Truck. It's just a truck. Okay. So I drive, and I'm very lucky for it. A 2014, I bought it used Cadillac Escalade. It's black. For as a kid, it was probably my dream vehicle. There we go. I'll just so I don't upset anybody in the channel. Okay.
Yeah. Dream truck. We can call it a truck. We'll call it what it is. Yeah.
Right, for sure. But I don't. We don't got it like that, right, Murphy D? We're not operating on Cadillac Escalade, checking and saving. Exactly. So I was shopping for just some type of an SUV at the time. I was traveling around doing personal training. So I wanted a little extra space. I was driving. It was a fun car for a while. And I negotiated this one pretty well too. I was driving an Infiniti G37S, this little coupe, this little sports car, and it was hot. And I miss it a lot. And it was really fast. But I was searching for an SUV just so I could have some space for the gear that I was lugging around during this personal training. And in my shopping, I come across in Staten Island, a Mazda dealership has this one random Cadillac Escalade. And so I get to doing a little bit of research. One of the car sites that they have it posted on, I forget which one it was, like had the date, the length of time that it had been posted for.
Yeah.
And it was like 180 days or something like that. It was like, a year or more. It was like 6 months or more. And from my time working, from the year I spent selling cars and knowing how their floor plans work and how catastrophically expensive that vehicle had been to that point for them to have there and is seeming to continue to be because they still can't move it. I went there with the G37, which was going to be the trade-in, to a Mazda dealership with the secondary bit of knowledge that Mazda does not even offer a truck or a full-size SUV. The biggest thing they have is like the subcompact SUVs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That is the biggest vehicle that they have on offer there. The G37, they could sell the same day. They were going to be able to sell that literally the next day. It was going to be totally fine. But this Cadillac was dead nuts stuck. So I went in armed with all that information and led one of my most masterful negotiations of all time. And by the time I was done, based on what he came to me with first, I dropped the payment, Murphy D, and the term. Both.
Incredible.
From his first offer, we got payment lowered and term lowered, which it just literally doesn't happen at all. And the finance manager, as we're wrapping it up, was
probably lost his
he
job.
offered me a job. He was like, I think you could make like $150K. I know it's a long commute, but like based on what I've seen here,
That's
any
wild.
chance you want to work? Yeah, it was awesome. But so now I drive a truck that I don't really deserve to be driving.
You earned it. So you basically went in there. You were able to get a Cadillac on a Mazda budget, and you were able to walk out of there with a job offer as well. So
it was a stick up.
Yeah, that's incredible. And honestly, like it seems more fitting. Like a man of your size, like a former offensive lineman. You can't be driving around in in a little 2-door. You got to have a vehicle to match the frame, I think. But
exactly. This suits me much better. And the Infiniti was fun. I suppose I was a little more svelte in that time. You know what I mean? Biceps were on swole and all that whatnot. It fit me then, and then it didn't fit me anymore. And this is I think Emily said it, the dad mobile a little bit, but I love it and I own it now. Murphy D. I've bought a couple cars, but I've never actually finished paying one off. A couple. No, I'm lying. I only ever bought the Infiniti. The Infiniti was the first vehicle I bought. Didn't had some balance left on it when I traded it in for the Escalade, but paid it off, and that thing is just mine. Insurance sucks on it. Gas is even worse, but that was really a cool moment, a cool adulting moment there as well.
That's incredible. Yeah, like I had. We went from having 2 cars to having 0 cars now. So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum now, where I'm getting my TTC pass out and I'm taking the streetcar to work. But where I live downtown now, like I've kind of enjoyed the downsizing process because I find it gets me a little bit more fresh air. I work right on the streetcar line anyways, but I won't lie to you, like it is nice, the convenience of a car. Like yesterday, I was going out to family Christmas and hopping on a train and then transferring over. Like it was a production. And I feel like
it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. I've grown accustomed. People used to look at me crazy for driving in the city. They're like, "Oh, why do you need a car? You're downtown." But it's one of those luxuries that you kind of you kind of get accustomed to for sure over time.
You couldn't even like, I don't know, where I live. Like you really don't even have the option to not have a car. Like I couldn't fathom not. I mean, you would you got to drive 15 minutes to your first like transport station, whether a train station or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like that's and you know, when we were looking the other day, we were taking the train out. I was like, oh, you know, what if we moved out here? We could probably, you know, scale down our mortgage a little bit. Like, but I was like, but at the same time, I was like, where the hell do you go? Like, where do you go out here without a car? That you're stuck, you know. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Impossible. But you're right.
yeah,
It's lucky. I'm sure I take it for granted sometimes, but I do not prefer. I don't know if it's bougie of me. I just
yeah.
do not prefer most types of public transportation. If I can avoid it, I will try to.
Well, especially in the middle of a pandemic too, it's basically a
Also,
walking
facts.
it's a walking petri dish at this point. You know, I'm crammed in there. There's social distancing, but I'm crammed like, you know, chest to chest with somebody almost every morning on the way into work. So you know, I can
Right.
pass on that for sure.
Yeah.
But
How distant can you possibly be?
yeah, and then so after the car dealership, is that when the personal training kind of odyssey began for you? Is that the next step
Yeah,
along
dude.
the way?
Yeah, and that was the next thing I did for work, and that was like really my career. I would call it, and it kind of happened like all at once. I had a negative interaction with one of my bosses. Like they just like he just sunned me. It was like so clear that he was having a bad day, and he just like made it a point to super OD and sun me in front of like another boss, and like just like. You never do anything. Like you
Yeah,
want everyone else to pick up your pieces. You're lazy. It must be your generate. Like just doing the most. And I was already feeling like I was pretty much done. I had learned what I could learn from selling cars. I was making a boatload of money, to be
yeah,
fair. It's probably the most, until much
yeah,
later in my personal training career, it's probably the most money that I made professionally, but it felt like blood money. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's, a little bit stereotypical. And it's not that every single freaking car salesman is a scumbag. That's not it at all. That's also
yeah,
short-sighted. A lot of these people are just trying to like feed their family. And a lot of times just, it is what it is. There's not even a lot that they could do or not do for
yeah,
you, honestly. So they get a little bit of a bad rap, but at the same time, they're, you are absolutely incentivized to, make unfair deals, like
yeah,
just straight up, like, and I didn't love it. I didn't feel like I was contributing anything at all back to the world. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I would rather feel like I am, or at least that I have the potential to. I
yeah,
like the capacity, capability to. And since I had stopped playing football, like over those last few years, started losing a little bit of the weight and was feeling successful with that. And have always as a kid, dealt with weight, and as an adult
mhm,
now here too, and again now I've gained
yeah,
15 pounds since COVID.
yeah,
I don't need to be 250 pounds.
yeah,
And I'll always continue to deal with it. But part of the success I was feeling like I had at that point, wanted to reciprocate that, see if I could create that experience for some other people. I was already I was spending a lot of time in the gym, and I was enjoying the things that I was learning there. Ordered the NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine textbook,
mhm,
um, from my work computer the one day. Came a little bit later. As soon as it arrived, I quit my job the next morning, like went in early, just talked to the owner like before anyone even got
yeah,
there, kind of cut and run. And that was that. It was almost exactly a year. Studied for a couple weeks to attempt you should be
yeah,
studying for longer, but I just locked all the way in. To study for this exam to become a certified personal trainer with the best credentials, the NASM credentials.
yeah,
And that's what I did, man. Got a little bit lucky and a little bit good, and got a job at the, certainly the most expensive, probably the nicest health club,
yeah,
in my county, one of the top operating, it's Equinox's direct competitor.
yeah,
And for, I think it was just shy of 6 years, I think, by the time all was said and done, was, a really high performing personal trainer,
yeah,
and met a lot of incredible people, and loved my career and loved the things that I was doing. And everything, I also got injured on the job,
yeah,
and that changed everything. And that was, that's led to some of my more recent life experiences. But, I still kind of navigate how I'm feeling, and, how I
mhm,
continue to feel about my career in fitness, and its role to me. And there's bitter feelings, just
yeah,
because of how it ended, and how I wound up being treated at the end of the day. The
yeah,
the short but effective story of it is, after multiple injuries to my lower back, I have now herniations at L4-5 and then L5-S1 that are getting worse. I just couldn't perform the job anymore. And, you know, there's a story, you know, around that, but they decided they didn't really want to pay for, the care that was happening. And, you know, that's still ongoing. So
Yeah.
I was left both, you know, feeling unappreciated and kind of tossed out, and also in a really practically difficult spot because I couldn't do the work that, you know, I had established a really strong rapport and career and a really strong, you know, resume, to be frank.
Yeah.
I like needed to change something, and it was going to have to happen, you know, in a brand new body that I didn't like. I didn't like being in the situation. I don't like it now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, thinking about the career and fitness, it's still complicated to me
Yeah.
because I did feel so fulfilled in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And and in the very next breath, I can also honestly say that I would choose my life now over any like
Yeah.
snapshot of my life during that time. And I like have to remember that, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel so bitter, and like I feel like, you know, pain about how it went and the things that happened to me and how I perceived that I was treated. But all's well that ends well. And even if I don't believe it, like I have to like
Yeah.
keep saying it and kind of like remember that that's the case. And, you know, it's working out. It's working out okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't love all aspects of it. Like I don't like, you know, being in pain and, you know, the limitations that I live with now. But um it's also the same. I've said this line even in our, you know, time together so far. Like it went exactly how it was supposed to go. Like it went exactly how it had to go for
Yeah.
me to wind up here. And
Yeah.
like it was really painful and like an arduous and not a journey that I would like to go back over,
Hmm.
but it had to happen just the way it did. I had to be home, you know, looking for networking and connections when these guys wanted to play this CFM.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have been if I
Yeah.
was at work or and I got hurt. And if I wasn't there, then I'm not here. And I'm not, and then this room
Yeah.
doesn't look like this. Maybe I'm not in this house, and like and you go on and on. It's the butterfly effect
Yeah.
of life. Um, and you know, you fight on. And so fast forward to like, you know, where we started, you and I meeting in the CFM, and hey, well, we got a CFM game on Sunday. I think I got a camera on my PlayStation. I'm not using it for virtual reality. Like, would you
Yeah.
guys come if I booted up a stream? Yeah, sure, Fen. Like, we'll come. Like, let's do it. To
Yeah.
5, 10 of the guys show up, and I was like, okay, that was fun. Like, you know, let's do it again in a couple of days. And then, you know, 8 or 12 of the guys
Yeah.
show up, and then it's 15, and so on and so forth. And next thing you know, you're dropping $3,000 on an Amazon credit card. Said,
Yeah.
Lord, whew, oh
Yeah.
boy,
That
let's see
taking a
how this
plunge.
goes.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes.
No, no kidding. And that's kind of, you know, from you telling your story about, you know, kind of that fitness, you know, portion of your life, which is fitness is always going to be a part of your life, obviously, and it should be a part of everybody's life, mine
Mm-hmm.
included. But you know, like it's interesting that you mentioned kind of, you know, being really, you know, having those. There's always going to be those doubts and those kind of maybe not necessarily regrets, because like you said, where you're at now is where you need to be. But you know, people don't always realize like what every streamer like on every channel on Twitch and every person in every job, you know, is always going through these situations that are really trying. And you know, it sounds like it can be traumatic at times too. And having, you know, already dealt with the injuries from football and then dealing with a situation that you were really happy in at the time, at least, you
Yeah,
know, that couldn't
for
have been
sure.
easy. So it's I'm sure it took a lot of work to kind of get through that, and something you'll continue to kind of work through. You know, they creep up, those thoughts, from time to
Yeah, man.
time.
And yeah, for sure. And that's the plan. And but to your earlier point, exactly what you said, like one of the main, you know, learning points I've been able to take from all of this is that it just as you said, man, everyone is going through stuff. Like everyone is
Yeah.
going through their stuff. You can if your brain wants to tell you the story that like you're really alone and feeling, the emotions that you do, and the details might be different, but that's just your brain telling you stories. And it's not that you want anybody around you to be going through the same things, but like there is indeed power in numbers, right?
Yeah.
People, it's nice to hear. I know you're open with that. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm very open with it as well. I think it's nice for people to hear that, man, like I'm not the only one that like thinks that stuff just kind of sucks
Yeah.
sometimes. Like we all like there's stories. Everyone has their baggage and things that they take with them. But it's like I said earlier, I think we can stand to get through some of that stuff, and some of those thoughts,
Yeah.
feelings, more effectively together than alone.
Yeah, and it kind of all comes down to empathy, being able to have empathy, you being able to kind of understand where people are coming from, and none of us are able to step into somebody else's shoes exactly. But and at the same time, trauma or can be, it doesn't mean that, because somebody else is going through something that would seem to be much greater, that what we're all experiencing isn't just as important to us, because we're all the lead actor in our own movies. It could
A
be,
thousand percent.
somebody could be going through, dealing with a serious illness, or dealing with, having to have surgery, or somebody could just have something as simple as a bad interaction at work, or a bad interaction with somebody, and it could have, just as powerful of an effect on, brain chemistry and what you're feeling that day. And that's
You're,
and it's a scary thing too. You could have somebody whose life seems absolutely perfect on the outside, and it does not mean that they're immune to going through these hardships and mental trials and tribulations, for sure.
Yeah, no, it sure does not. And I think that's important for people to remember and understand that, like, you can't gatekeep
Hmm.
being sad,
Yeah.
right? It can never be, oh, you just wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
You don't know like the depths and the darknesses, like and that's where it goes left. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like people's individual experiences are as real to them as anything is to anybody else, and you can't really quantify it and compare it and contrast it that way. Like whatever it is, like it's okay to feel that, right?
Yeah.
Like my therapist will get on me sometimes because I'll do that. I'll quantify, and I'll say, yeah, like this, that the third thing feels hard for me. But there's people that, and then it's like just
Yeah.
just just full stop. Like yes, there is. There
Yeah.
are there are people that are going through different things, and the lenses are different colors, and whatever the case may be. Yeah, you're right. But that has nothing to do with the reality and validity of your experience, what you're going through, and how you're interpreting it, how your body's interpreting it, how your brain
Yeah.
chemistry and chemicals are interpreting it and understanding it and reacting to it, the things that are being produced without your active intervention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just as real. So I think that's a positive, I think that's a good conclusion to reach, in understanding that we need each other to navigate some of this stuff, because it is as real to each of us
Yeah.
individually.
And for
Yeah,
sure. And at the same time too, well, when you first started streaming it, and it was very much you know, just a party vibes. Like it was a lot of, you had the big chalice there, you had the
yeah,
big drinking nights. You had Dubby come in and raid you when you were probably half in the
yeah,
bag, which ended up being
crazy.
one of the big opportunities that you kind of capitalized on. But when you first started, you know, I mean, you've always been kind of an open book. Like that's, I think, what kind of one of your biggest appeals is that you can kind of make a connection with these thousands of people that come through your chat, over the course of a year, and then they feel like they get to kind of see a glimpse of the real you to a degree. And did you ever think that mental health and being kind of an advocate for mental health would be kind of a lane that you would kind of get into, or was that something that kind of just organically cropped up as you started streaming more often?
That's a good question, man. I mean, it's really my own experience with my own. It's so
Mm-hmm.
relevant, and like it's such an everyday thing for me
Mm-hmm.
that really, in some ways, like and I love to hear you say that it feels like it can, and that's the goal, right? That's a
Yeah.
positive association, that it makes it easier maybe to build real relationships with people. But no, I didn't anticipate that this would ever, it would ever turn into a focus. But it would just be impossible for me not to. It would be, I don't know. In my imagination, it would wind up being an elephant in the room
Yeah.
almost, because it is such a constant conversation and a constant, battle
Yeah.
for me, as I'm sure it is for others as well. The experience I had really right before, so
Yeah.
started streaming that in the May of the,
The
what was
COVID
it,
year.
2020,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
probably,
had to have
yeah.
been.
It would have been Madden 20 would have been out. It would
20,
have been
yeah,
when Madden
end of
20.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it was in 19, like, my most relevant and recent life experience, kind of as I, fell apart. My
Hmm.
brain wasn't helping me rebound, and I was injured. I was in pain all the time. I was drinking a lot. I didn't have
Hmm.
the job. Money was a problem. And I wound up in a spot where I had to seek out inpatient mental health, and I did. And
Hmm.
I went to a hospital and received excellent care for a week, and that it was kind of like my rebound off of
Yeah.
rock bottom. So, when I started streaming in that May, it's still such a fresh experience
Yeah.
to me. Like it's like you feel like this extended hangover
Yeah.
from the whole thing almost. You know what I mean? So it's not like the focus or openness with mental health isn't as deliberate as it is necessary.
Yeah.
And then it, to me, that makes it like it has to be deliberate, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that hurt the most at the time is that when, I decided that I absolutely had to seek care for, how I was feeling, what I was thinking about. Um, it was the night of, and it's like a story. It's like, you can't
Yeah.
like write a movie
Yeah.
like this, but it was the same night of my football team's end of year banquet, and we had made the playoffs and had this wonderful experience. And kind of alongside this, I'm going through the worst downfall of my
Yeah.
life, but these kids were a bright spot in all that. And one of the factors that could really pull me from the darkest spots, and potentially part of the reason I lasted as long as I did was because we were still in the season. And it's interesting, that this happened. The banquet was like a week or two after our last football game.
Yeah.
And now once the season was over, like that was kind of the only thing that was like tying me to planet Earth, where was the season and these kids at that point, given where my brain was at, because I had to show up to practice of a sound mind and body at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be, drinking in a cave in a hole, smoking all day. Like I had to like kind of keep it together. And
Yeah.
like, in hindsight, I mean, thank goodness that I did. So the night of the banquet is the day that I decide to check in. So a lot of my feelings around that are kind of tied in with my football team. And the way that I thought about it was like I had options, right?
Mm.
Like what was I going to say? Like where am I going? I'm not
Yeah.
injured. I'm not sure they know how important this is to me. Like it
Yeah.
just would make it would. There's no story I could come up with here that would make any sense to these young men as to why Coach Fend was not at this thing.
Yeah.
Like Coach Fend would kill to be here.
Yeah.
He'd die to be here. Like, and it just wouldn't make any sense. And I had this conversation with my father as well, kind of what he was going to say on the home front. Like,
Hmm.
it's like a relatively small town ish. Friends,
Yeah.
no friends, and whatever. He's like, so like, what do you want this to be? Like, what's our approach here? He's like, kind of being my PR guy at the same
Yeah.
time. Like, what do you want to say about this? Because he wanted to defer to me.
Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
and yeah, I thought about it a little bit. I was like, what are your options? Like, you're
Yeah.
traveling a little bit, or what? Like, do you want to
Yeah.
pitch a story? And I decided not to. Like, I
Yeah.
decided that I was just going to say exactly what it was and exactly what happened and what was going on. And I told the kids that too. And the way that, I made myself feel better about it was that if any of those boys at some point wound up in a spot that
Hmm.
they just needed a little extra hand. They just needed a little extra help, that they might remember that Coach Fend at least kept it real when it came down to it. Like, I wanted to capitalize on like the stature that I had to those kids at that point. And just be honest, like it felt like that felt like the best thing I could do for them. Like, I wasn't going to be there. They were moving on to high school. Like, I wasn't going to be their coach next year. They were, they were moving on and moving up, and it was kind of, this was going to be the thing that I left them with. So that was the decision that I made, and I decided to be open about it. And then that kind of like carried over, and then that just became what my default. Like, I when asked, like, would you want to tell a story about it? Like, even if I want a day off a stream, do you want to tell a story about it? Did I had some things come up and I got to take care of, I can't make it, or are you just going to be like, man, my brain's not there today. Exactly. And it's just, so operating with the default setting of, I'm just going to keep it real. I'm glad to hear that people connect with that, and it makes me accessible, because it should. And if that helps anybody, even in a secondary way, then that's a fat W. And that is how I'm like kind of redeeming purpose from streaming, right? I shared with you earlier that it was important for me, whether it was true or not, to feel like I was giving something back to the world and contributing in some type of positive way when I was training, and I felt like I was doing that for people in their lives and their bodies, and that's one of the things that I feel really good about on Twitch. And is a lot of it surface level sometimes. Sure, it doesn't need to be all that. Am I overstating it a little bit? I mean, maybe, but at the same time, I really don't believe that. At the same time, I really do believe that sometimes, like, I might be, if I have 50 people in a channel, I might have 2 or 3 of those people that are in their own cave. They're not having a good day. Like, they're they're having the 11:30 drink, or they called out, whatever it is. And if I can distract or even provide a place to just have somebody drop in the chat like, yo, man, things kind of suck today. And sometimes people will do that, and they take advantage of this space that the congregation has set up. And, I try to set the tone the best I can, but then it's got to be picked up from the people in the chat too. You know what I mean? Like, they have to be willing to accept that type of space and have safety there. And, the phrase safe space has it's been memed, right? But in a more genuine sense, like, you do want to create a spot, a community, like a setting where it's all right to not be all right. Like, and you don't got to talk your way around it. You don't have to do that with us, Yeah,
no, for sure. And I do think that the congregation kind of has, become a place where people feel comfortable with sharing, or even, it doesn't even have to be sharing. It can just be lurking, hanging out, just trying to get something positive, glean something positive from what might otherwise be a bad day.
Right.
But it, what you talked about, while you were at what for you would be a rock bottom, and being able to kind of take what would be a very powerful moment out of that, in letting these young men that you coach know that it's okay to get that extra helping hand, because it's true. Like, there's times where you're very consistent with streaming. You were talking about, like, in your tweets that you put out in the last week, that you've been barely missing a day over back-to-back months, which is, for anyone who does it as a full-time thing, is not easy, or even as a part-time thing, like, to commit to something and do it, whether you're going through the ups and downs of a week, is not easy.
For sure.
But there's times where being busy is a good thing, like you said. Like, coaching was the thing that was kind of helping you stay afloat for all those times where being busy and having accountability for other people can be a huge thing to motivate. And then there's also times where it's like you said, you needed to check yourself in and get help. Like, there's times where being busy is not the answer anymore. You need to actually go and take maybe a more dramatic step, which can be very scary, and it takes a lot of courage to even share that story. So I really do appreciate you going back to an unpleasant place and sharing it with people who we all need to hear that, and
for sure, man. It's all part of the path, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of the path that you walked. Like, I couldn't have wound up here, and if I hadn't, walked through that bit of woods. But yeah, man, and it's even, even like on the practical side of it, at the time I didn't even have I didn't have insurance. Like
Yeah.
it was really all bad. And
Mm-hmm.
a message for the chat and the folks who will watch this on YouTube now and in the future, like there's help for you, even if you're bringing literally nothing to the
Yeah.
table. Like you could be down the worst that you ever are. There's compassionate care programs. There's people that are tasked with, they are paid to, their job is to figure this stuff out for
Yeah.
people who need help. And so if you need it, there will always be it, if you're willing to look and ask in the right places, and be an advocate for yourself as well. That's one of the most important things. It can be hyper frustrating to get a first psychiatric appointment,
Yeah.
and that is, in my experience, like, if you want to talk in like a grand, if I could ever
Mm-hmm.
do something about any problem I've identified personally in the world, this would be one of them. Because in a crisis, in a mental crisis situation, it is next to impossible to secure a a doctor's appointment, straight up.
Yeah.
Like it is just based on how they do booking, or I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
details on the back end, but practically speaking, it's almost impossible to do. And that can be discouraging in literally the worst possible time. If you and you'll know if it has to happen, and you'll know when when the right time is. If you It's no longer a want, you're no longer in distress,
Mm-hmm.
you are in need of help, show up to your emergency room
Yeah.
and they will get you sorted out.
Yeah.
And just show up, just walk your ass in that emergency room, say what the problem is, and there will be help for you. There's always options. Don't get discouraged, and keep
Yeah.
looking. Reach out if you
For
need to.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And more money and funds can be diverted to mental health, but you're right. Like there are options out there, and the problem is when you're seeking this help or this care is that a lot of the time motivation might be at zero, and it's tough to say, oh well, I got to go through like a sit on a phone and listen to an automated message and then sit in a queue for 30 minutes, but I just want to go to sleep, or like there's like we look for the easy outs, but really dealing with mental health, dealing with depression, anxiety, any other number of things, it's not an easy out. Like when you're actually ready to kind of take it seriously, it does take work, and it takes therapy and medication in some cases, and all kinds of other stuff. And from you being so open about your experience like that, I recently, I'm probably like 4 sessions into doing therapy now, and I have benefits right now that can cover maybe
Awesome.
10. But it's something that I'm seeing so much value in it that I'm like, you know what, like even when I'm done those 10, like I might not be able to do it every week, but maybe once a month. Like it's good to have that tune up and just talk
I think it's
to a
so smart.
professional who's even just to talk or get stuff out that you might not know who to share it with in general. It's such a
For sure.
huge benefit, and it really is
Yeah, I
investing in
admire that
yourself.
strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it is an invest. It is
Mm-hmm.
truly an investment in yourself. And I love what you said there. There's value. There's
Yeah.
real value there. And I think we are. I think we are. To our credit as a people, I think we're getting a little closer to the spot where there's not. You
Yeah.
can't really say there's like a stigma
Yeah.
anymore. I don't think, like, if someone says there's a stigma, like they
Mm-hmm.
get canceled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're just
Exactly.
wrong
Yeah.
now, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's worthwhile. It doesn't even need to be, a thing where, you don't need to be in crisis to benefit from someone to just listen to your story. And a lot of times it's just them helping you interpret, ways that you're already feeling, and kind of they serve as like your organizer, right? It's
Yeah.
like you're kind of just calling a professional into this mess of a clothes closet, right? You got
Yeah.
shoes all over the ground, and nothing's hung up, and just clothes scattered all over the place. Really, all you're doing, like, nobody's bringing anything new into the room. Like, really, you're just calling in a professional to
Yeah.
help you organize and put the shoes
Yeah.
on the floor and line them up with their pairs and hang up the stuff. And for that analogy, I think it's really similar to how therapy
Mm-hmm.
works. It's not like they're not babying you. It's not. It's you can info dump a little bit, what is going on in your life, and they can help you organize and identify and
Yeah.
prioritize in some ways. And but and I'm sure we want to keep it moving, but
Yeah.
also, just while I have it on the tip of my tongue here, I also have to be honest. I love that you're enjoying your experience with
Mm-hmm.
the therapist already.
Yeah.
I I had to meet a couple different
Yeah.
folks before I found someone that I resonated enough with to get benefit from. Like, so,
Yeah.
there's also something to be said for that. Like, if you tap in and it's like, this just like doesn't work, like, keep in mind there may well be someone better suited
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
interacting with you that you'll respond to better for whatever reason that might be.
Yeah, and that's it's something like for me that where I was looking there was biographies, and that only tells you like a glimpse, like it shows the credentials. I'm like, oh, these people work primarily pediatric, working with kids. I don't want to go
Mhm.
talk to somebody about fairly heavy stuff that might deal with not that 6 and 7 year olds can't go through stuff that's very heavy. I find in
Sure.
education like it's the social workers and the child and youth workers are the most overtasked people
I
in
bet.
elementary schools these days. Like it's
Yeah.
and it's something I try to be aware of too. Like I'm doing kindergarten right now. Like mental health is not something really kids are aware of it. You try to teach them that there are resources. It's in much simpler words for kids that are
Right.
3 to 6 years old. But it's something
Sure.
that if we had all gotten maybe more of an education from a younger age, could save a little bit of heartache down the road. And I do think that it's starting to become like that. Like you said, the stigma is evaporating year by year, and that's a good thing. It's the way it should be.
And
But
like you said, though, man, it's like, because I didn't even
mhm,
really have, did not have a basis to
mhm.
understand, like, even what the nature of my problem was,
Yeah,
right? Because, like, we grew up in a similar generation. It's not like it was like talked down upon or anything. It's just
yeah.
like it wasn't talked about
It
at all.
wasn't
Like,
talked about.
I didn't
Yeah,
understand that, like, a brain could malfunction in a similar way that a body could. So it's
yeah,
like when I started having symptoms of this stuff, like, it didn't all the way compute, right?
yeah,
Like I couldn't like put my finger on like what is the deal
yeah,
here? But I think we agree that there's the more available conversation on the topics, more which is predicated on more people
yeah,
sharing their personal experiences with the same. I think it's trending in a positive direction,
yeah,
and it's always going to be a problem. Like, people are always going to struggle with it, but more eyeballs and more folks being kind in their considerations. And Emily and I have a great and unique dynamic in our
hmm,
relationship where she is an excellent communicator and is lucky to not experience any
yeah,
diagnosable mental health issues, right? And that's a great
yeah,
that is a great thing. That is a beautiful thing. So a lot of it's like us trying to like understand each other in some
yeah,
ways. You know what I mean? Like, what it's like to have a brain that doesn't function like that, and she does so much to, you know,
yeah,
consider what it is to have a brain like this,
yeah.
and
Well,
we make it work. We
you
make it
could
work
do a
pretty well.
full 3 hour podcast on then relationship dynamics and all that. There's so much that you could go into on
Oh
that
yeah,
front. Like it's
for sure.
and thank goodness that you have that really positive relationship. Like obviously,
Very lucky.
and Emily's been a huge part of your stream from the get go. Like she made my first emotes, the Gjallarhorn. That was Emily's handiwork. She got herself very involved in what you were doing, and that alone kind of told me that you got a good thing going on. That she's willing to something that might seem silly or it might seem menial when you're starting out, but she's been a great source of support, I'm sure, for you along the way. So
Might
kudos
actually
to you
be
on picking a
silly,
good
might
one.
actually be menial, and she still, makes the care and the time
Hmm.
for it, and supports it more than anyone else does. Like,
Yeah,
throw around the phrase, but truly my biggest fan
yeah,
and biggest supporter, which is I'm lucky for it because it's a
yeah,
wild thing that we're trying to do
yeah.
out here, Murphy D. I
It
mean, it is.
it is. Well, like
It's
you,
very different.
yeah, it's a hard thing to explain too to some people. Like we get so wrapped up in this Twitch community where everybody gets it in here. They get what streaming's about. They get what our goals are, and trying to put out good content and stuff. And at the same time, when I'm in my workplace, I don't I don't share it at work so much. I don't know how to it might be because I'm a little bit R-rated at times on my stream. I don't necessarily want to have any of my students finding out, but
Sure.
so I try to keep those two worlds a bit separate. But when you're talking about being a full-time content creator, like is that something now? Like your inner circle seems pretty plugged into your chat, which is kind of cool. You get you get your football buddies, you get your mom in the chat. Like
Yeah.
you've kind of brought your real life into the virtual world, which is really endearing, I think, to a lot of people watching your stream.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think overall it's a W, but I mean
Yeah.
it comes with risks too. Like like Gut Fox takes like a fairly notably opposite approach.
Yes.
I was surprised he did such a cool concert thing the other day. By the way,
People told me to
that
tune
was
in.
so awesome.
I was seeing DMs.
Yeah,
like,
that
you got
was
to
so
check
dope.
in. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was incredible. But like, or somebody like him that shares kind of like nothing. I've opened my home to people I've met on the internet multiple times, a lot, quite frankly. And again, and we got the New Year's Eve party coming up here as well. So it's another one of those ways that I think it makes it a little easier for me to connect with people because I am what I am, but it leaves you exposed a little bit too, Murphy.
Yeah.
Like thank goodness it's not, I mean, knock on wood, it's been a little while since anything like too weird has happened, but like I've had a troll message my mom. Like,
oh God,
this people, things have been said about Emily and just because I'm open and available and everyone knows who these people are. But like, so it's not without cost, I suppose. Maybe even a little higher cost than I anticipated. I think that's probably fair to say that. But I don't think I would reevaluate my stance if I could go back and like adjust, how much of my real life was involved in it. I would still do it the same way, but it's like I said, it is not without cost. People are weird. I get fished in my every other day. It's like, oh, I see you're having a hard time getting in your account. Like, no, a scumbag down the road is having a hard time getting into my account. You hold the door. Everything is fine. No, I don't want to change my password. Thank you.
Man, yeah, it is kind of wild, and I'm sure like getting to partner and being on Madden Live, I'm sure it just only accelerated the process of. You get 1,000 cool people coming into the chat. You get maybe a handful of those weirdos. So it's just extrapolate that. But
exactly, yeah, it's all your sample size, right? Like there's, I mean, the percentage of weirdos out there is fairly low. It really is. But there's just so many people out there that you're still going to run into them. Just can't let them, discourage you, get under your skin too much.
Yeah, you can't have the perfect utopia, on Twitch. There's not going to be the perfect chat, although, you have done a very good job of cultivating a culture that's very welcoming and fun, and the weirdos get sorted out pretty quickly in your chat, which is...
yeah, they do. The mods,
the mods handle it.
Yeah. Holy mackerel. They're bloodthirsty in there sometimes, Murphy D. I'm telling you what.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. And, so we've talked a lot about, we got kind of the origin story. We talked a lot about mental health, which is awesome. I'm really glad that we kind of went off on that tangent. I did plan on asking you about it, but it kind of just came up organically, which is even better. That's all. The stuff that comes up organically is always the best stuff. But
agreed.
Yeah, so with your content, starting out as a Madden guy and now kind of branching out into variety streaming, how have you found, what prompted that switch? Because it is a big switch, and how has it been going so far? What's your kind of vision for the channel where it's at right now?
That's a great question, Murphy D. I'm glad to share with you.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's a little more of the long play, I would say. Madden is great. It has been great for a long time. It will continue to be great. As we all are, we're growing fish out here, right? And no matter how, I didn't want my potential for success to be necessarily and inextricably linked to anybody or anything else, including EA or anybody or PGA or how good or bad Madden is or what glitches are in the game. And I'm not looking at Madden like, oh, the game sucks, so I know I got to do other things. It is truly just a sustainability question, right? And it's a tough. Is it an ego check? It's tough because I knew that it was going to cost me in the short term. Yeah. Right? That I might be able to put 200 bodies in the congregation if we're going to stay on Madden for 3 hours, 4 hours, and it's not going to look like that if I'm playing 3 or 4 different games. Yeah. So it was a reset it was, a little bit of a return to the grind, because now I'm not just grinding out a percentage of a static Madden audience, right?
Yeah.
I can be more dynamic than that, and people can tune in for something different than just specifically the game. And it makes things much harder. And to be honest with you, I mean, I know you and I are connected with a lot of these folks on Twitter. Sometimes I see, a young pre-affiliate streamer, maybe they just got their affiliation, something like this, wanting to hop directly into variety streaming and be stream 3 days a week at random times in a completely different game every single time. Like, I both believe that the long play is absolutely for variety, and that the short play is definitely not variety.
That's great advice for the people out here.
Insofar as you want streaming to fulfill something specific, right? A lot of people are out here, Murphy D, and I'm going to keep it all the way real. A lot of people are out here like, oh, I don't care about the money. It's just a hobby. You don't care about the money because you're not making any, and it's a hobby because that's all it can be for right now. Given the choice, given the option, I think the incredibly vast majority of streamers, entertainers, content creators would indeed do it full time if they could. Right? So having said that, I'm not including those folks in this answer, but if you genuinely just, the spot that streaming is fitting into your life is seeing 15 of your favorite people that show up every Thursday night and just kick it in the chat with you because that's the only night you have off, and your kid has something Tuesday, Wednesday, and you get dinner with the missus on Monday, and that's like the role it feels to you, and then hell be everywhere, be all the places you want to be, do whatever the heck you want. If you want to achieve partnership, and I'm not saying that's the right thing, I'm not saying that you should want to, or that's the only goal, I'm not inferring that in any way. But if that is
the goal,
But if it indeed is your goal, I can tell you objectively that variety streaming is not the move. That you should cut out a section, a market share of one category so you can meet a couple people, establish a little bit of a foundation. So now once you're filling up your boat with people and with help, right? Like, so that once you finally venture out and once you leave port, some of those folks are going to go with you, right? And you post up somewhere else, and that port's a little busier, but you're a smaller boat, so nobody's really coming on, nobody's hopping on board there. So you get your guys together, you pick up a couple more bodies. Hey, you want to come with us? Yeah, we're getting out of here. All right. And you hop out and go to the next. Okay, you know what I'm saying? We've been banging some metaphors today, Murphy. No kidding. But so that's the idea. The goal is, ultimate mobility, really, to be able to, I've noticed, for the benefit of the channel, I've noticed that I'm a better entertainer. I'm putting on a significantly superior show when I'm actually having fun. And it's not just Madden. If I played another game as much as I played Madden, I bet I would have gotten sick of it way earlier. So I'm not. This is not a Madden knock. But if I'm putting myself in a spot all the time that fun is not super reliable, I think I'm a worse showman. I think the stream is a little worse off for that. And the goal, obviously the inherent goal therein is to be the experience that people are coming for rather than they're coming for a game and I'm just the best presenter of that game. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's a matter of the sizes of ponds that you want to be playing in. Like we lost some sailors right off of our boat, and it's not even a loss. It's because I don't even want. Maybe the analogy might lose its usefulness there.
Fully.
Right. Yeah. We probably got to bail at that point because it's truly, it's not an L. And it's got to be a place that you can provide, open seats to people, and they don't got to feel like, you come in and you're like, oh, okay. So now that I'm back on bowling, now you're back in the channel. Huh? See how it is. That's like so whack. Like the doors have to stay open, and it has to be, you're happy to see whoever the heck is is there when they are indeed there. So it's a plan for the longer vision of the stream, Murphy D. It is, another way to my ultimate goal would be stream recaps on YouTube. It's something I could produce daily, and nothing is free, and there's only X amount of time in the day. But Subathon coming up is going to be, I hope, a good, jolt of energy and commitment to the channel.
You might
on
be
my
live
end
for the better part of 2022. To be honest, with
man,
the last
wouldn't that be a blessing? Yeah, it would be. It sure would be a blessing. I'm coming into it, as you should, right? Like completely expectation free. I know that that first Subathon was an anomaly. And I know that, right? So it's not like I'm not going to be in complete shambles if we're not live for 12 days sleeping on the camera and whatnot. But I'm excited, and I'm going to be prepared for it, and my goal will be to bring every bit of value that I possibly can for it. You know what I mean? Like you're showing up. You got to show up to work. You can't just. I tweeted this the other day. Like you can't just flick the camera on. Yell at a couple people and send it in for the day. Like you really gotta be there. You really have to show up.
Takes a lot of planning, a lot of planning on the fly too when you're doing a stream of that length. Like you had the workouts going. Sure. You had the sleep cam set up. Now is the sleep cam going to be making a return for this one, or are we going to put some Top Chef on this time?
That's a good question. So I think it's not going to start. We're not going to go sleep cam like right out of the gate. So we're doing it on New Year's Eve. We're gonna start on New Year's Eve. We're celebrating. I'm having the party here. Like I'm gonna have some cameras out there. Like, be like kind of like everyone's able to chill, even if they're not here. And then it's a weekend, right? So I'm gonna have the same people over in same situation. Like cameras will be on for Saturday, Sunday. That's awesome. I think if indeed the clock is still on come Monday, hopefully it will be, but who knows? If it's still on Monday, like that'll settle into the routine of how it will look like. So the Friday night into Saturday morning, like Saturday, Sunday will be like a little sketchy, but Monday will be like, it's full go, night shift available, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to be ready for it, and with a lot of things with a lot of good entertainment and some cool goals and things that we could do together. I think it's going to be dope.
Yeah, absolutely it will be. And I got to say, I remember coming in the last day of your last subathon, and when you refresh the stream, my resub came up, and I had intentionally not added to the counter the entire 12 days. I was enjoying it. I was getting my channel points up, like watching and checking in, but I was mortified. I was like, oh my god, I did it at the last second with like an hour left.
You have actually made, because of that, you have made, like when I tell the story about the end of the subathon, and I'm talking about how I'm feeling, and I'm looking at the clock, and a very kind woman, I think her name was Queen Bee, was coming in for like the first time in those 2 weeks, and like every time the clock got to like 20-25 minutes, she was hitting me with some B-bombs, and I literally just was like,
oh geez,
it's not the time. You have to read the room, and now's not the time. And then part of my story is even a couple of my buddies on accident, Murphy D came through with a re-up at 10 minutes, something crazy like that.
God, I was praying that Toasty or like one of the big guys didn't take that as a sign that it was on. I was just praying.
Yeah.
Luckily, everyone seemed to read the room at that point. Yeah.
Holy mackerel. Yeah. And to their credit, that, and it was all I can that was all I could handle. That was all I could possibly handle. You know what I mean? Like this time I'll be prepared for whatever it is. Again, like you even have to be so delicate in how you talk about this, because you can't look a gift horse in the mouth and come up to the come to the table with, all right, so figure we're going to be here for like 2 or 3 weeks, because that's not the point at all. But I'm going to be ready with options and like a plan kind of on the home front of like how I want the day to look, how to take care of my body in the meantime, in my mind, and my girlfriend, and my cats, like I have a better framework of what that sort of day should look like. And as many of those as I can get, the better. It would be awesome. I'd love to be I would love to be live for a long time. But I'm just going to have, a better daily plan. I'm going to put out a schedule for the day. So we got it's. I think it's going to be dope. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and and a lot goes into it, and that's something I'm in the process of. The longest stream I've ever done is 7 hours, and that's a grind for me. Like I see people doing 12 hours, 24 hours. It's a big commitment, and the mental preparation that goes into it. I was at the point where I was like, there's no way I get through last summer when I'm off work for 2 months without doing a 12-hour, and I just. At the time, I was like, I'm not in a place where I could do a 12-hour stream. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't give that big of a glimpse, and I couldn't, for that time. But I really do admire you for getting on the grind. I was thinking,
it's a lot.
When you added that you got to take care of the cats, I'm having this vision for your stream here, strapping GoPros to the cats' heads, and when you're doing your sleeping, just having the cameras set up where we're seeing through the eyes of the cats. Oh. I don't know the logistics on that.
Oh my God. If I could somehow get Q with a camera, that would be must-see TV. My man is on top of the fridge. He knocked over stuff from a spot that I didn't think there was any way he could possibly get to. My man is really, really out here. Yeah. He's talking to the ghosts. All hey, dude, shut up, dude. You hear this? You got the hardwood floor. You hear the claws.
Yeah,
is scraping across. I'm like, dude, shut up.
A little bit of ASMR dude. Too, which people are into, I guess, on Twitch too. So you get that covered.
Well,
too.
The Ace Cam, Saint said he wants the Ace Cam. The Ace Cam will be boring. The Ace Cam will just be pretty much one view for hours at a time. But Q, you're gonna get some action. You're gonna see outside. You're gonna see what's going on with the birds.
Is Q you're gonna hunt. Q's an outside cat too? Is that does Q get out of the house?
No, he's not. No, he's not an outside cat.
Okay.
He wants. No, yeah. You'll just see him sitting in the window, chattering a little bit with the big eyes, with tiny little slits, just crazy.
Yeah. The internet loves cats, man. Honestly, you cannot go wrong. Like having the cats come up on the stream, and that was one of the probably the best ways to get rid of channel points in your chat when you first started out, and still to this day is
for sure
is those cats, man. But
we're gonna do some more channel point rewards. I think we're gonna cook those up pretty soon too. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's how I get them drained before everyone can save up for 1,000 shirts.
Yeah, exactly right. You gotta up that price on those things. I'm not gonna lie to you; those are gonna fly off, and the channel points are all gonna come in at once too, which is the challenging part of it. Everyone's gonna be hitting those milestones at the same time. But
when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, have the invites gone out for the New Year's party yet? At this point, I haven't gotten a paper invite, but is that?
I know that Canada's kind of like jail right now as far as your relationship with Americans.
Yeah,
y'all are not really feeling America right now.
Yeah. Oh man, no, we love the States. I miss it. I would go to the States at least twice a year. Once you're in football season, once you're in baseball season, just to catch a different city, different game, and that's one thing I really missed about the last couple of years. It's affordable travel too in the States. You can pay not that much and get a feast of a meal. So it's I love it down there.
Yeah, that's one of our things. But yeah, bro. So I mean, if you could navigate your way, I don't know what's it, the Great North Wall or something. I don't know what the border. No, I'm lying. I've actually been and stuff like that. I think that's where they filmed the Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
In any case, if you could navigate your way south, man, the door will be open for you. But yeah, the guest list is developing. So we got Nick Mazesco and the missus confirmed. We got Bobby V and the missus confirmed. We got Sap Daddy +1. We got Chef J +1. We got K Harry and the girlfriend. We got potential for cousin sightings. Nice. I said Chef. We got invites out to PFG and Toast. I think Toasty Boy is going to be out. Papa Fausti likely out as well. So I think it'll be probably 15, sub 15. But we got open doors for anybody on the East Coast in case you guys want to be a part of that.
We're getting some Pennsylvania guys in there. We're getting some New York State people, some New Jerseyans in there. That's a little
bit of everything. Nick coming in from Arizona, actually, which is pretty dope.
That's the EA money right there to be able to fly out on a whim. That's got to be the EA connection. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm trying to lean into Higgy a little bit, see if he can make an appearance. Higgy came out from Atlanta for the last showdown, for the last get together, so that was dope meeting him in person, getting to spend some time. Bro, we need that border open back up, so us a little international relations, if you know what I'm saying.
We maybe I'll have to do a satellite party over here, a satellite viewing party with Adam and Luch. We can get together at my place and watch you guys. We can check in.
The people would go crazy for that.
Yeah. It's hardly we're pretty mellow Canadians though, so it might not match the vibes. Your parties get kind of wild over there. I mean, we had Bobby V wearing a judge's wig. We had it all, and there's the judge's wig in the background too. Is that it right there on the light stand?
Yes, it is. Yep,
you?
that's exactly
For Unbanned Court.
Hanging on the light.
Hopefully, we get another edition of Unbanned Court during the party too. I think Bobby V needs to step back behind the mic.
That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know
fantastic.
how many. I don't know if we have all too many in the bank right now.
Yeah,
we might. Yeah, but that would be the guest hosted. Unbanned Court was, I think, a fat W.
Oh,
but yeah,
absolutely.
I'm gonna have we'll have a camera on in here, probably kind of similar to this. But then I'm gonna put something up high out in the living room, so you kind of get like a bird's eye view of all the action. We might have to get a little action cam, flip cup or beer pong, whatever the heck the kids are playing these days. Might get a little bit of that. You know what I mean? Relive your glory days.
Awesome.
I bought Murphy D. I will have you know, I bought a 5-gallon cooler specifically for this party.
Nice.
Specifically.
Now gallons, we don't have those here, Fendler. I don't know what that is. I know a 10-gallon hat, so it's slightly smaller than that.
Golly, it's large. It's a big daddy.
How many milliliters?
It's about
are we talking?
It's most of the size of your torso. It's a big daddy cooler. He doesn't have gallons. We are in shambles.
How many degrees Celsius are you keeping this cooler at?
You said Celsius. No, I gotta go. All right, it's been nice, Murphy D.
Yeah.
A big old cooler to specifically make the jungle juice that made my house parties famous. The main ingredient being, of course, Everclear, which is grain alcohol.
Vodka. Yeah. That's
it's like 200 proof or something stupid like that.
Oh God, is that a recipe that's guarded? Is that something that you have to keep secret as part of the because then everybody would be throwing Fendler parties.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
I'm going to share it with you.
Please, this is great, guys. Take notes.
Okay, this used to even the puke that it produced was so violently red that it would like stain like the grass outside. It was actually nuts.
To college right now.
We're going right back to college. This is the order you have to do it into. Bunch of ice has to go first. Yep. Then the entire handle of grain alcohol, the whole Everclear thing, is in the ice first. This is the glitch. A full daddy-o of lime juice. The lime juice, a bigger size lime juice.
Yeah,
whole bucket in the ice with the alcohol first. We had I don't know if it's true or not. We had this idea that like the sour, like the citrus kind of cut down the burn of like the mega grain alcohol a little bit. Mix that up a little. You got 3 liters of red soda. Don't matter. Yeah. You could get store brand if you want it.
What is red soda? Like Mountain Dew Code Red? What is red soda? I don't even think I've seen red or cream soda.
It's got to be like fruit punch. It's got to be like
gotcha.
Like a big red fruit punch that comes in the plastic bottles. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
3 liter. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
3-liter orange drink.
Now we're doing liters. Okay, I like this.
You with me on the liters now,
okay,
right?
We're good.
All our seltzers and like bottles come in liters. I don't know, okay?
Yeah.
3 liters of red soda, 3 liters of orange soda. Bang. Those are in there too. Here's where it really goes to hell, Murphy D.
Yeah.
A whole container of Kool-Aid drink mix. All right? We're not taking a scoop out. We're not doing caps. We're going the whole daddy.
Yeah.
Okay? 3 red, 3 orange, whole container, Hawaiian Punch, the big thing. I think that's a 2-gallon. The big Hawaiian, big Hawaiian Punch. Then fill the Hawaiian Punch one time up with water. Dump that in as well. Mix and enjoy.
That's incredible. That's an incredible mix right there. And this is
it's brutal.
Like, where did this recipe? Is this a college, high school recipe? When did this?
We did this in high school, man. Yeah. We did this. It was pretty cringe. I mean, I live in. We weren't like the big hair, like fist bumping type of Jersey, but like we did party pretty hard. Like we were like kind of high on ourselves.
Yeah.
So I had a basement that we made a bar for in the basement, and Mama Dukes let us party pretty hard down there. So I would have kegs and the parties. We called it the Bossment.
The Bossment. I like that.
Boston. Yeah, we painted it on the bar and everything. So it was the parties. We were having the parties in the Bossment. Nice. We would have Facebook events because this is before old people infiltrated Facebook. This is when we had Facebook to ourselves still.
Now it's my aunts and
we would have we would make an event, and that's how we would have the guest list. We would literally add people to our underage drinking Facebook event, and at the time it was totally safe. Nobody knew about it. So that's how we kept a grip on like how many people were going to be there, because I really could never Like 100 in the basement was like way too crowded. I would get a keg for the party. We would have some, some people behind the bar or whatever, get my hands on some bottles. We would usually do dollar shots. And
we're turning a profit here. This is nice.
Charging for jungle juice, bro. This was official. I would go around. I didn't really drink the nights of these parties because I was actually making money hand over fist.
That's unreal.
I had the solo cups in a string backpack. You know that cleats used to come in, something like that. All the solo, I didn't leave them on top of the keg. That was a complete amateur move. Because then nobody needs to pay you your $5.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And the best is when some weird out of towners came in. Thought that they could come in, they got entrance for a second based on their buddy's word, and then they had solo cups of a different color. I was like, no, I'm gonna need them $5s. You thought I'm gonna need them $5s. So we go dollar shots, keg, a cup for the keg, and then a different cup for the jungle juice, and the jungle juice was famous. That's where we developed the recipe, was for high school, and I have not had it. I haven't made it actually since high school. So I'm hoping that it turns out the way I remember. I mean, it's literally 99.8% straight sugar, so I can't imagine it's going to be that bad.
And then you got the sour. You got the full liter and a half of sour too. So that's gonna you won't taste any Everclear at all. That's just going to be
exactly, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Because this isn't vodka, right? What's your average vodka, like 70, 80 proof, something like that?
Yeah.
I think literally it might be 200 proof on the nose, because I think it's I think it's 100% alcohol. It's 100% grain alcohol.
This is what they use to clean out gunshot wounds and stuff. This is
not to be trifled with.
Medical.
You can really mess yourself up. One of my funny enough, when my brother was active duty in the Marines, he came back for a party and brought one of his buddies. He's a good old boy. He's from down south. Chris Heel, and Chris Heel came down to Jersey. And so, we're going to have a party that night, and we're getting set up. We put the keg on ice, and that was a move too. You had kind of your pre-show a little bit, you had your buddies over, and then the post game was even better. But you had call it pre-game, but really just my buddies helped get me set up and cleaning out the basement and whatnot. And Chris Hill gets some jungle. We just made the jungle juice, stirred it up. He's like, oh, you got to try this. He pours himself a cup of his jungle juice, and I think the picture is probably still somewhere. Pours a cup of his jungle juice, and and these are active duty Marines at the time, right? So I'm like, Chris, man, I promise you, please be easy on that. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to call you out. This is not reverse psychology. I'm saying I don't think you need more than 2 cups of that before the party. Okay. Yeah. Chris Hill did not listen to me. Chris Hill got into that jungle juice. He said, man, I don't even, this don't burn at all. I could suck this down, no problem. And he did. And about 3-4 cups, nobody was even at the party yet. And Chris Hill it was a stand-up shower. He was asleep with his top half in the stand-up shower with his hands behind his head like this, feet out, resting on top of the toilet. Completely snoozed out. Chris Hill did not indeed make the party. Then he got up, came downstairs. I wound up throwing up and whatnot. So it was not Chris' best night of all time. But so dangerous jungle juice that I'm gonna make sure to warn my friends about before anybody does anything stupid.
He was in need of a medevac before the party even started. It sounds like, and I can't wait to see how Nick Mazesco reacts to this juice, because he was already probably the most lit person at your party the last time. I can't wait to see it.
I think he probably was. And even then we were relatively, I think, well behaved. And I said it too. I was like, last time we were kind of on our growing stuff, whatever. Nobody did too much, and nobody was too drunk. And we're making a fuss and being loud and fucking sweating on each other, whatever. But nobody really did the most. But I mean, and you don't have to drink to have fun, but on a holiday like New Year's Eve, if you do indeed partake, the chances of an overindulgence on New Year's Eve are much higher than your average holiday.
Any
you know what I mean?
Room would probably tell you that. Yeah, it's
exactly. So we're gonna get after it. We're gonna get after a little bit. I'm pretty hyped. We're gonna boot the stream a little bit early. We'll have it on for the Eastern time ball drop, so that'll be lit too. But yeah, dude, jungle juice will make its appearance. Yikes.
Incredible, guys. And you know, I feel like, I know you got plans. I know you're gonna go check out the new Spider-Man soon, and I feel like we've gotten a good amount of content here for the YouTube, you know. But
Wingman Raid too. Hello,
Wingman Raid. Oh damn! Look at me sleeping over here. Wingman coming through with the monster.
I hold it up. I held up on the Murphy D.
Wingman, my dude. Look at Fendler. Like, we got to do a hold up a goddamn Wingman minute here.
Wingman minute buzz.
I can't do it without a lozenge. I need a lozenge. But Wingman, appreciate you, my dude. Fendler, appreciate you coming through, man. Honestly, it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last, I want to say 2 years now. We'll just say 2 years. But like, watching you grow from a guy who wore mostly sleeveless shirts and drank BCAAs out of a goblet or a chalice, if you will, to being one of the top Madden streamers out there, to now becoming, you know, this new dynamic content creator in variety, you know, and it's been incredible to watch you along the journey and get to know you. You're a really genuine person, you know, who's helped me out a whole lot, inspired me to get my streaming career started myself. So, Fendler, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Around the Gjallarhorn, my man. I really appreciate it.
Murphy D, man, I am very lucky that I met you when I did, and I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm grateful to be going through these new and exciting experiences with you, bro. I don't think we're done yet. I think this yet persists. I think we go forward here, and I'm excited about it, man. It was an honor to be on the show. Thank you for hosting me on Around the Gjallarhorn. A pleasure indeed, and an honor. You're a great host, man. You're a natural at this. I could have gone for 5 hours. This was a great time.
I learned from the best. I rewatched all your YouTubes preparing for this moment, so I do appreciate it.
You're a legend. I love that.
Enjoy the movie later on, and hope you guys have a great time with that. And no spoilers
will.
Next time you stream. I don't want any spoilers.
I'll see you guys in the chat then.
All right, sounds good, Fen. Take it easy, my dude.
Thank you. All right, brother. Thank you again.